My name is Jalesia Horton. I am the interim head of access and experience for the SMU libraries. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Jolene the Verges, director of the Hammond Arts Library, and Sarah Sanabria, the head of collections and technical services. And today we're just going to go over a few basic ways of how the library can help you gain access to the materials and the films that you would like for your classes and your courses. As we go through this panel discussion, we hope that you will walk away with how to access digitized materials for your course, whether that be textbooks, research materials, films, or more, and also find out how the library can get in digital and streaming material for you and your students. As we go through this course, if you have any questions, because you are all muted, please feel free to drop them in the chat or Q&A, and we will answer them all at the end. And so option one for requesting course materials would be for materials that the libraries do already own. That would be to request a digitization through SMU Libraries LibWizard form. Most people will not remember this link. So to find it, you would go to the SMU Libraries webpage, go to services, and then go to teaching support. And it should be on that page with more information. On this form, please include as much information in the request as possible. And so that way we won't have to email you and ask, is this really what you want, or will this addition work, or things like that. Just give us as much information as you can. But we do have to remember that we are working under fair use and copyright, and so we cannot always scan an entire thing. We will have to make sure to follow copyright restrictions and guidelines, and also under fair use, copies can only be used for one semester without having to have copyright permissions. And so that's something to keep in mind as you go forward, thinking about how you're going to have classes, whether it be next semester or next year, as far as electronic scans of parts of materials. Your second option would be for materials that SMU Libraries does not own. This would be that you should make a purchase request, which you can do through this link as well, and it's on our collections page. Through this request, you would indicate, once again, as much information as possible: title, author, edition, ISBN, the course number and name, and then the terms that the text will be used. From there, our collections people will do their magic to find whatever resources that can be found, and then from there, do what they can and contact you to find out the options. But I will let Sarah Sanabria talk about that a little bit more as we go along.
If you need film or video or any media for your class, we have several, and you want it in streaming format, we have several streaming platforms that are listed here on the screen. Films on Demand is one that has about 42,000 titles and 317,000 segments as of today. And these are documentaries, educational series, TED Talks are in there, BBC Worldwide Learning, a lot of historical series like the Ken Burns, and just some basic teaching videos. Those are all available just like Netflix. You find a film and you can immediately use it, and you can embed it in your Canvas course, or you can assign it to your students. Canopy is a different model. Requests can be made from faculty only if the film is a required viewing for a course. So we license the films that are requested by faculty. The license is usually around 12 months. So we have some longer licenses, and we determine if this is an ongoing need for you and for classes in the future, or a one-time, and we make decisions about the license. In Canopy, there are a lot of first runs, feature films, international films. The Criterion collection is there. You can search Canopy and you can find films, and you will know if we've already licensed them and they're available, and those would be available to you if you can play them, if you can run the film. If instead, when you try to run the film, a request form comes up, then you'll know that your request will need to be processed. Digital Campus is also known as SWANK, and there we also have some feature films, educational films. Again, requests need to be made. You can create an account as an instructor, and from there you can request films for your class. We have a Drama Online and Digital Theater Plus, which are specific more to theater and film studies. There are play texts and videos of plays and leading theater publishers. So if you need a streamed film, you can first search any of these platforms. You can search our catalog, which includes some of the titles, but not all. Or you can simply turn in a request form and we will identify where it might be available and license it for you and then reply to you. We generally need about 7 to 10 days advance on if it's available and we can stream it in a streaming format and we can license it, we can usually get it quicker. But if we have to search for a streaming copy, and it may take a little longer. This is a guide on the SMU web-based research guides that gives you a little more information about the streaming film service. If we own a video and we can pull that video for you and discuss with you certain options that we might have available for making it available in a streaming format. It's really, you start with the request and we'll go from there, and we can respond very quickly to those requests. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, who's going to talk about acquisitions.
Okay, and I just clicked unmute, so hopefully I do not, go on for a long time. That would have happened to me if it hadn't happened to Jolene. So, okay, so what happens after you ask us to buy something? Well, first we do double check to make sure we don't already have a copy, so you don't need to worry about searching the catalog in every way that you can think of. Just go ahead and put the request through if you can't find it within the first couple of tries. And so once we make sure we don't already own it, we're going to see if we can purchase a multi-user copy through one of our vendors or directly from the publisher, if that's an option. There are some titles, there are some titles that the publisher only makes available as a single user copy. This happens a lot with novels and with other, books that the publisher thinks may still sell a lot of copies one at a time. And so if it's the case that it's only available as a single user copy, we will contact you to let you know what the situation is and ask whether it's going to be beneficial for your class to have access to one copy that they would all have to share, or whether it would be more practical for them to purchase or rent their own copies. Okay. So right now we are ordering everything that you ask us about that you're planning to use this term. We will start ordering things later in the semester if you are going to be using a text in the spring term. And it can take up to 2 weeks for us to get access in place. So the earlier that you can let us know you're planning on using a resource in your class, the better that is for all of us. Okay, so this, we stepped back and rethought our collection development policy a little bit during this time of remote instruction. And so I just wanted to put this up. I'm not going to read it to you. It's going to be posted on our collections webpage soon, but just know that if in the past you had been told that a certain kind of resource isn't something that the library would buy because it's being used in a class, please know that we've temporarily suspended that rule because we really want to try to support students and faculty who have had to really rapidly adapt to doing instruction in a different way or being remote or whatever. So if it is within our power to buy it and we can, and it will help your class, we will. But this is where the next slide comes in. As I'm sure you're aware, because all of you are scholars and you've all tried to find books that just aren't available online, we can't buy everything that you want to use in your class, and not all titles are going to be available to us. In addition to books that are old enough that the publisher has never created an online copy, the publishers of major textbooks or of books that they think might be candidates for course adoption are often not available for the library to purchase. Those are the sales, in many cases, that subsidize the rest of that publisher's list. And so they simply don't make those available for us to purchase. So in those cases, you would want to either look into options for the students to purchase the text or rent the text through either the bookstore or some other, or the publisher directly. But we will do our best, you know, and if you want to look into options for a different resource because you want it to not cost your students money, work with your liaison librarian and we will try to help you find something similar if that is something you're interested in. Okay, so in case you have always wondered to yourself, gosh, what free online course materials are out there that I could use? The good folks at Arizona State have put together this guide that can point you to different open educational resources or materials like that that are available just for free for students to use anywhere. Okay, and I think, what if what I want isn't available? I know, I wish this didn't ever happen. But yes, we can consider alternative materials, or we can work with the subject librarians, or, you know, as a last resort, you know, you might need to adapt the assignment a little bit. But we will do our best to get it for you if it is at all humanly possible. And I think here's all of our contact information. That's the end of our presentation. So we wanted to leave some time now for questions. And I think Jolene is going to
read out the questions when she unmutes. Okay, we do have a question from Helmuth Ludwig. Can I use parts of videos that we have in the library in creating a video for a class that I then also reuse in the future, not only for this semester? Okay, so I think I can address that question, and Sarah and Jalesia, please jump in. Most of these streaming service platforms that I just mentioned also let you clip a portion of a video to use in a class or to use for whatever purpose. It gives you the ability to create a segment or a small amount of the video if you'd like. For reusing that in the future, I think that's a copyright question. I think it probably hinges on how much of the video you've clipped. If it is, and I don't know the rule right offhand, but I'm sure there is one. Jalesia, do you know?
I believe this goes under the same aspect that regular books or print materials would, that you can't actually use it under fair use multiple times. The exact same clip. Now, if you changed up and use a different part of the clip from the same movie, that kind of goes into the gray area of copyright, especially since we would own the streaming version of it. But after using that specific clip once, it would probably be more advantageous and out of copyright infringement to just tell your students, watch this, go to this streaming version and start at 1:15 and watch this minute. That would probably be the easiest way to make sure that you aren't infringing on copyright.
And I would just add that if you were going to use it in the future, you just make a new request for that film, and we would expand the license or renew the license, and then in that case, I think you'd be perfectly fine to use a clip, as long as we had the license was active for that particular title. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yeah. I mean, as long as we have, if so, there's two cases here. One is if we have it licensed and it's on a streaming platform,
Mm-hmm.
we're fine. The terms of use under those streaming licenses include the ability to use clips to the extent that they're usable within the interface, and have students use those. Now, the other side of it is if we're digitizing a copy of a title that we hold only in physical form, like on a DVD or a VHS tape. And that, I think, goes back to what Jalesia was saying. Now, I also think that there is an argument to be made that a film is a slightly different. I mean, many angels could dance on the head of this pin, but I will tell you that while we are all in this totally weird pandemic, forced remote situation, the films, we own them. It's not as straightforward to request copyright clearance and permissions with them as it is with books and articles. And so just let us know what clips you need. We will provide those for you and for your class, and we'll make it work while we have to do this.
I hope that answered your question. There's
If
never
not, you have many takes on it. Many angels can dance on the head of this pin.
right. And great. Any other questions?
If any questions pop up after this, please feel free to email one of us, message through Ask a Librarian on our main webpage. There is a pop out for Ask Us that will come up after a few seconds. Just get in touch with somebody in the library. That's pretty much our motto. If we don't know the answer, we will get the answer to you in some way, shape, or form. And we will do everything that we can to get access to what the specific needs that you have. With everything going on right now, we understand that, especially for students, things are already tumultuous enough. We want to try and mitigate that as much as possible.
One thing that I would add is that although we did tell you that we need 2 weeks to get everything in place, please don't let that hold you back from making a request. We will try to expedite materials and get them available as quickly as we can. But 2 weeks is the general time frame if you want to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and everything is in place before you need it. That's just what we tell people. But don't let that scare you off or make you think, oh no, I passed the deadline, so I can't ask for it.
Yes, thank you for saying that, Sarah. It's the same for the course digitizations. We say 7 to 10 business days, but just for high traffic times, but many times we can get it out faster than that, especially as we get closer to classes starting and things. We work as hard as we can to get that. So don't let it be a deterrent from making any type of a request. We'll do what we can. Are we sure there's no more questions? We are here to answer whatever we can for you.
Okay, seeing none, I think we will close out a little early.
Yes, I think at this point we can all be glad to finish a little early.
Oh, wait. We have a question. Will you talk about Canvas integration? Jolene or Jalesia, do you know more about that?
I do know that we have instructions on our website, and I believe it is on the, did everyone see the URL that I sent out? There are instructions there for integrating it onto Canvas. Yeah, and also there are instructions there for embedding your librarian. I'm sorry, I don't know Canvas well enough to speak intelligently about how to integrate, but I know we have instructions. Jalesia, do you know more?
I do not. I haven't had much work with Canvas as of yet, but I think it's the instructions, and there should be someone to contact on that page as well for more information. And then I definitely know OIT has some information on it as well to be able to get it integrated the way that you want it to. So once again,
Yeah.
we don't really know. We might not know the question, but we definitely know we will be able to get you in touch with somebody if you contact us.
Right, and I believe the webinar tomorrow at 1 to 1:45, given by our colleagues Megan Hoyer and Jonathan McMichael, called "Integrating the Library into Online Instruction." They have far more expertise with integrating Canvas and embedding resources in the Canvas tool, and you might want to check that one out.
Oh, and our IT support person also says that your academic technology director should also be able to help with Canvas integration. So you have people both in the library and the ATSD for your area. You should be able to help with whatever headaches Canvas presents you with on any given day. What else? Any other questions? Well, thanks everybody for joining us today, and get in touch if you think of anything later that you wondered about, or if you have any suggestions for other things that the library can do to support you during this bizarre time that we're all living through. Jalesia and Jolene, do you have anything to add?
Just best wishes for the start of classes.
Yes, and like Sarah said, there's another session tomorrow happening for the SMU library. It's about that will focus a little bit more on the actual instruction part. So please, they are the experts in that section, and they will be able to give you much more detail about Canvas and the connection with your subject librarian and things of that nature.
All right, thanks everybody. I think we can go ahead and call this a wrap for this afternoon.
Yes, have a good rest of your days.
Thank you.